Hello, everybody. This is Will Carlin. We're just doing a test here of the mics. We will be on in about 7 minutes. So this is Will testing 1, 2, 3.
And this is Rob testing 1, 2, 3. All good?
Great. If you are listening to this, we will be back just about 5 o'clock, which is 6 minutes away by my clock, assuming the players are ready. We'll actually come back when the players are on court and starting to warm up. See you in a little bit. Should be a great night, semifinal night. Can't wait.
Absolutely.
Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Will Carlin here. Welcome to semifinal night of the 2020 David C. Johnson Memorial Squash Doubles Tournament at the Heights Casino in Brooklyn Heights. We've got a great lineup for you tonight. We've got the number 1 versus the number 4 seeds, and then the number 2 versus the number 3 seeds in what could be 2 very exciting semifinal matches. Let me just tell you quickly about them, and then I'll introduce my co-commentator here, Rob Dinnerman, in just a moment. But our first match is the number 1 seed, Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold. They are playing the number 4 seeds, Michael Ferreira and Will Hartigan. The number 1 seeds have finished their warm-up, and those are the number 4 seeds on the court right now. And that will be followed with just a very short break in between of our number 3 seeds, Eric Bedell and Chris Callis, playing Jamie Stout and Yvonne Badan, the number 2 seeds. So, as I said, I'm Will Carlin. I'd like to introduce Rob Dinnerman right here sitting to my right. Rob is a writer of squash and author of 6 squash books. He played on the WPSA Hardball Tour. He's played on the Doubles Tour. And he's been here sitting next to me for a bunch of the matches this weekend. Welcome, Rob.
Thanks. I'm very happy to be here. This should be a very exciting night.
Do you have a sense of, are you looking forward to one of these matches more than the others, or just both of them equally?
I think the first match might be the most dynamic of the night. There's some very aggressive shot makers on the court warming up right now, and I think this first match will be really terrific.
Interestingly, we've got our defending champions are both playing tonight, but not with each other, and they are in 2 separate matches. So Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold, who are the number 1 seeds. Zach Alexander won it last year with Chris Callis, and Chris Callis is playing with Eric Bedell, and they are the number 3 seeds. So wouldn't it be interesting if we got last year's champions playing each other but not with each other in the finals tomorrow night?
That could happen, and Zach, as you said, won it with Chris last year. I believe that was the first time that he and Chris had ever played together. This is the first time that Zach has ever played with Scott Arnold.
So he's good with first-time partners.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And what Zach did last year, he won the final with Callis. Earlier in the day, he won the final of the U.S. National Hardball Championships at the Harvard Club of New York.
In the same day?
Same day.
Wow.
Several hours apart. 6 express subway stops on the number 4 train apart. So
all right, well, we are getting underway here. And just to orient you, the team in all black are the number 4 seeds. That's Michael Ferreira and Will Hartigan. Ferreira is on the left-hand side of the court. Hartigan's on the right-hand side of the court. The team in gray and black are the number 1 seeds. That's Zach Alexander on the left and Scott Arnold on the right. Just as they're starting to play the first seed, let me tell you their roads here. Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold got here by beating Reed Andressen and Jeff Osborne 3-love in the first round. And then in a very exciting match yesterday, they played Clinton Liu and Omar El Kashef, and it was a 5-game thriller.
1-all, Zach left.
And so they are here, but the road has not been easy. But they, on the other hand, have been tested. Michael Ferreira and Will Hartigan got here. They also had an unbelievable 5-game match, but theirs was in the first round against Chris Walker and Clive Leach. Probably still the most exciting match of the tournament so far. And then they took out Ryan Cuskelly and Cameron Pilley, 2 recently retired PSA pros who were 11 and 12 in the world, and they had to play very well, and they did play very well to beat them 3-1. And that are the road to the semis. So we're very early in the first game here. And Rob, you've already said that you expect this to be a match filled with some shot-making fireworks.
Right, especially from Ferreira, who was always looking to shoot and who was very aggressive about doing so in the last 2 rounds.
And he's got that interesting, it's almost a 2-handed backhand that you talked about a little bit yesterday, where his top hand, his right hand, is actually above his left hand when he hits that backhand.
Wow, Will Hartigan.
It was his sharp shooting at the beginning of each of the final games of the matches that they played that put his team ahead. So he really doesn't hesitate. He goes for it, and he was successful when he needed to be in each of the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, and we should also say that Will Hartigan played very well. He
4-1 right.
He was not a shrinking violet on the court. He had to be tough, and he came up big with some shots of his own, including on match ball yesterday.
Well, they're out to a 4-1 lead so far.
Left, 5-1.
Well, it's a nice start for the challengers. One of the things we saw yesterday in I think in all 4 of the matches, the challenging team wound up getting off to the faster start and then were reeled in by the seeded teams.
With difficulty, but yeah, they were eventually reeled in.
Shot Zach.
It's a nice shot by Zach.
And,
he responded to
right,
reverse corner with a roll corner,
5-2.
actually sort of his own reverse corner, but it was to his near wall.
Mike's looking very aggressive in the early going. He's hard serving and he's looking to shoot.
Jesus, Mike.
There's another one.
6-2. What a
Great
shot.
roll, great inside out roll corner.
Yeah, that's a shot that he's been hitting throughout this tournament. He's hitting a forehand from deep on the backhand side into a roll corner, but it's across the court. It's
And
almost
out.
like a reverse,
3-6.
but not quite.
Right. That Paul Price is the one who sort of brought that into the SDA tour. He was very successful with that when he and Ben Gould had
Yes,
a great run
3-6.
about 5 or 6 years ago, and more the left wall are looking to do that, to make that turn and then to shoot from there.
Yep.
Shot, Scott. 4-6.
It's a nice shot by
One thing
Scott
about
Watkins
Scott Arnold,
built.
he's like an oak out there in front of the tee. He's tall and has looks to volley, and it's very tough to get the ball over him.
He, so far in this tournament, has not really been shooting. We know that he can, but he has not really been shooting. He's been more sort of striking the ball hard and taking position in the court. That was a very good shot.
Yep.
Yes, Lat. 4-6 on the left.
Good call.
It was a good lep, but it was a good shot by Ferreira.
Yep. See how far Scott is above the tee. He's a good 2 feet in front, sort of almost daring teams to blow it by him.
Yes, Lat. 4-6 on the left. Jeez, what a shot.
That's another sort of
5-6.
that same sort of shot, although it came way off the back wall, and you hit that. Zach Alexander, he is a very good squash player. He had 26 PSA singles titles, which is a lot.
It is.
That's a lot of titles. And he was a Commonwealth Games gold medalist in doubles. And he's won, as you pointed out at the beginning of this, he's won a lot of SDA titles with a bunch of different players, bunch of different partners.
And playing both walls.
And playing both walls. I mean, he's really a good squash player.
Right box, Zach. 6-7.
And Scott Arnold, his partner, who's also from Australia, they're both Australian, he is a 4-time Canadian national doubles champion with Robin Clark, and he's won his own share of SDA titles as well.
7-all.
And he plays, I believe, almost exclusively the right wall.
He does. And the biggest title he won was last year's Kellner Cup, which he won with John Russell. So he ended up, and then they won the Buffalo event at the end of the season. So they ended up as the team at the end of last season. John's not playing this weekend because he's the coach at the Episcopal Academy, and the U.S. High School National Championships are this weekend.
He's missed, he did his own stint here at the Heights Casino. John Russell did, and he's a really fun player to watch. So, John, if you're listening to this, we miss you. We miss you here. Your presence and your absence is definitely noted. But good luck coaching. Hope your team is doing well.
Oh, lucky. And out. 8-7.
Nice shot.
Nice running.
Yep.
Interesting rally here because they are going from hitting the ball very hard to some lobs, and it ends with a nice little reverse corner by Zach, taking advantage of Will Hartigan, who had been sort of leaning a little bit back in the court. And early in the first game, we are now, after a big opening lead by Ferreira and Hartigan, we are now at 8-all. Great Philadelphia.
Yeah, but he got it back.
That's a nice get. And a great cover there by Zach. Ferreira and Hartigan have had the better of this point so far, but it is not over yet. Wonderful squash here.
A real all-court point, too.
Good rally.
It's too bad that it ended in a let, but you can hear the appreciation from the crowd. That is a great point.
A great all-court point.
All-court point, and with the sort of lead in the point going back and forth.
Yep. And both teams making some really good gets to keep the point alive.
That is a fantastic overhead by Will Hartigan. Cross guard overhead, front wall, side wall, neck. Very nicely done. Zach really is mixing in a bunch of lobs here early on.
More than he usually does. He's definitely trying to go over Will.
It's just amazing how Michael Ferreira stands up to anybody who's hitting the ball hard. He just doesn't back down over there.
Yeah, and Scott's hitting it really hard.
He's hitting it really hard at him. Look at the way, it's very interesting seeing Scott just sort of, there it is again, mixing up the pace here. But didn't pay off that time. Another volley cross-court winner by Hartigan.
10-8.
Will's looking sharp here. That's a great shot from deep in the court to actually get it past Will Hartigan, who sort of looked like he knew it was coming too.
Yeah, Scott has a really good backhand. He can really hit it.
I think he tinned that. Yeah, he's going for that little reverse corner again. Yep, and it just caught the top of the tin.
Looked like Will was looking for it anyway. That wouldn't have gotten it.
So,
Hartigan
and Ferreira, the number 4 seeds, with a 2-point lead here over the number 1 seeds in the final stages of the first game. A lot of front court stuff going on here. That's a nice shot.
Great recovery though by Scott.
Wow. It's another all-court point. Wow.
Great rally. And out 12-9.
Well, Zach has missed that shot twice now in a row where he's gone for that inside out sort of reverse corner on his own wall. And they now find themselves in a little bit of trouble here against the number 4 seeds.
Ten. 12-10, left side. 12-10.
That's a nice shot by,
And at 11-12.
by Scott. Scott just sort of pummeling it past Will there on the right-hand side.
He's a real physical presence on that right wall.
Well, he's very tall, Rob. How do we know how tall he is exactly?
I would say 6'3" or so.
Yeah,
that sounds about right. And a
definitely
big and a long reach too. And reminds me a little bit of Damian Mudge that way.
Well, another error by Zach. He's made a few errors here at the sort of second half of this game.
And that was a big point too. 13-11 instead of 12 all.
Yep.
Wow, that's hit hard.
And
out.
That's a fantastic return of serve.
14.
Very
11,
shallow
game ball.
shot from very deep in the court.
So we've got 3 game balls here. I say 3, it's really 4.
Yep.
That was
Left, 14-12.
you could see that he was stretched out for that, probably a little bit more than he wanted to be.
Well, he also has a couple of points to play with, and so he felt that was worth trying it there. I don't think he'd have hit that shot if it was 12 all. Whoa.
Yeah, 14-12.
Good safety call.
Good non-hitting of the ball there.
Yep.
And Zach is, although he didn't say thank you, he's saying thank you
That's right.
internally. Wow.
A good shot there.
It's a great shot.
Yeah.
And out, 13-14.
Well, they're not going down without a fight here.
That's for sure.
That's
Zach
2 game balls eliminated.
Out.
Wow. I think Ferreira and
14-all.
Hartigan need this game more than
Game ball.
Arnold and Alexander do. This is a very important part of this game.
Because they had the 3 game balls already.
Yeah,
So this is a
and
mutual.
because they played really well this game.
Yeah. Game ball for both sides here, 14 all. First game of the semifinals between the number 1 and 4 seeds.
Good get by Arnold.
Big point.
2 good gets by Scott. Whoa. They'll probably give him a lip, but he was cross-handed a little bit on that.
No, it had nothing to do. It had nothing to do with the chirping.
Wow,
I just thought
no
he had a shot at the
let.
ball.
A no-let call.
Well, I would give a let on that. Alexander was in his hitting zone if he took it outside.
Well, that's a big call at 14 all.
That's a huge call.
I know that the inclination here is to try and get players to play. I do think that ball came out. Had he hit it, there was a chance he might have been able to hit Zach with the ball.
Absolutely, it was floating across his racket.
Yeah,
and Zach was not that far clear to him to his right. That's a really tough no let call.
And let's also point out the fact that what you just said, which is that they were up 14-11, and so to lose that game 15-14, and even more to lose it on that call,
right,
that's going to take a little bit to overcome. Now they're an experienced team, and they can do that, or they're both experienced players. Actually, let's talk about that for a second, because
sure.
Michael Ferreira, he went to Trinity. He played. He was part of the 4 of the years of Trinity's unbelievable streak where they went undefeated. But he's won a lot of SDA tournaments with somebody who is not his partner in this tournament, Yvonne Badan. And so similar to Zach, who won this tournament last year with Chris Callis is on the other side of the draw. Wayne Ferreira has won a bunch of tournaments with Yvonne Badan is on the other side of the draw. So he's a experienced and very good player, one of the best shot makers in the game. And his partner, Will Hartigan, is another great college player who went to Cornell in class of 2012. And he's won a bunch of prestigious tournaments. He won the William White doubles. He's won other things, and he's not an incidental member of this team. He's played very well in this tournament to be here.
And he played very well in the first game.
Yes, he did. You're right. He played very well. He made almost no errors.
The Cornell team he was on was the only Cornell team to get to the semifinals of the national team championships.
I mean, he's got a very good singles pedigree, but he's really proven himself on the SDA Tour too.
Absolutely right. He and Ferreira are playing with each other this season for the first time. They played about 4 or 5 events together. That is more events than any of the other 3 teams in the semis have played as partners.
That's really interesting. This is really sort of a...
As I say, Scott and Zach are playing in their first tournament together in this event.
And we should say that, there's a little bit of part of this is because of Monik Mahor getting hurt. We wish you well if you're listening, Monik. You are, a huge presence on this tour, and he and Chris Callis were on a serious roll. And they would have been the number 1 seeds here, and they would have been the prohibitive favorites as well, just not being the number 1 seeds. But when he got hurt, which he got hurt in the O'Reilly, some of you know that he tore his Achilles tendon a few years ago. This is his hamstring that he hurt in the O'Reilly, and he was hoping to play really until the last minute. But when he pulled out, it meant a rejiggering of a lot of things, and that's part of why there are a bunch of new teams here.
Will, I disagree. We'd all made our call before he said a word. No, disagree.
Will's still unhappy about the no-let call at the end of the first game, and I don't blame him. That's a very big call.
Hey, guys,
it'll
stop.
be
We're going to play on the next game. It's too late. The decision cannot be changed. Yeah. No one's being influenced.
It'll be interesting to see how they handle the loss of that game, especially at the beginning of the second game.
Yeah. That was quite a discussion. That's an unusual thing to have a discussion like that after the break. And just to be clear, what we believe Will Hartigan was upset about was he felt that comments from either Zach or Scott had influenced the referee before he made his call. And Jeff Osborne, the referee, was saying, nope, that didn't influence it. He made the call, or the team up there made the call all on their own. But you and I both thought that it probably should have been a lap.
Absolutely. And usually when there's that discussion, it's right after the game ends, not after the break before the second game begins.
That's why I said it's a little bit unusual. Yeah, I agree with you.
And 1-0.
That's a very nice backhand by Wayne. That's a good, it's nice to get that under your belt. They're, I'm sure, still seething a little bit. And you've got to get that under control or use it if you can use it, but not to make errors here.
Shot I thought inside out backhand crushed up by Scott.
Scott's actually hit more winners in the first game in a little bit today than he has in some of the whole matches. He's come to play today.
He certainly has, and he knows how dangerous Ferreira and Hartigan are. And they all had some trouble yesterday. Also, they need to get They got into real trouble yesterday. They're very fortunate not to be down a game right now. Zach called it down on himself, I think.
What happened?
I thought he might have gotten it, actually.
Okay, yeah, go fix it. Thanks, mate. It's Zach on the left, boys.
So I think Zach cracked his racket or broke a string, but I think he may have cracked the racket, actually.
No.
But I'm not sure what the call was on that, because it looked to me like he got that
Zach on the left, 3-2.
He called it down on himself, so he.
Oh, he did. Okay, he called it on himself. Then that's fine.
He had a perfect winner on his first point with that new racket. He just tossed his racket up in the gallery, and somebody tossed a new racket down to him.
So he's feeling good about the new racket.
That's right. At this point, he must be feeling great about it.
Great shot. Backhand, overhead, reverse corner.
That's the same shot he tended 14-11 in the first game. And he hit it without fear this time.
Although, remember that one he was stretched out. And this one he was very nicely, his feet were set, the whole thing. I mean, when he's set, he's just incredibly dangerous there. The only time he really makes errors, it seems to me, is when he's not quite in the position that he wants his body to be.
Whoa, nice shot by Scott.
That's a backhand drop shot into his own right wall corner. Hard shot to hit.
Faults. Second set.
And again, Scott's hit way more winners in this match so far than he has in previous matches. Well, Scott and Zach clearly thought the serve was
right.
He's appealing.
That was a second serve, too.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Well, that would be a bad double fault call if they. I mean, it'd be a costly one.
6-3.
They called a double fault on him.
Wow.
Wow, that hurts. That was much more aggressive a serve than he should have made with the fault on him, though.
And Michael Ferreira is actually not happy with Zach and Sky. He thinks they are being a little bit nitpicky there. He had some words for them right after. But, you know, if it is a double fault, it's a double fault. But Michael's got to get himself. I admit, for sure, he's been the victim of some strange proceedings here. But he's, you know, the match is still very much in its early stages. He's got to get his head on here.
Right. And that tin he hit the point before looked like an angry tin.
For sure.
Yeah. So 7-4 now.
This is better for Will and Michael,
Down.
just to have a point that's going on a little bit, and they actually got an error now out of Scott. He's trying a little near wall shot there at the top of the tin. So this is good. They, you know, they haven't let the game get away from them, and it's when you're annoyed and angry and you feel like the world's going against you, sometimes things can go south fast.
And you're down 7-3, which they were at the time.
This is a really nice shot by Zach.
Yep.
Zach's now hit a forehand into his own left wall corner a number of times in this match for a winner already.
And
that's a spectacular cross-court front wall. Well, no, it was really sort of a reverse.
It was reversed that hit the front wall first, though.
Yep.
And it sort of fooled Will. He just wasn't expected to come to his part of the court.
But now they've got a point back. 3-point game here. Number 1 seeds. They are up 1-love in games on a controversial 14-all call. And they now have a lead 9-6 in the second game here. Oh, that's a great recovery by Scott.
Whoa!
Couldn't do it twice, but then Zach actually had a play on it, and he made a little tin. He's going for a little drop shot, which I think would have won the point because Will was very far back in the court, but missed it. So it's a 2-point game again. Oh, that's a beautiful shot by Michael. And one of the things about this shot is that required some touch, which seems to indicate that maybe his anger is dissipated here and he's back to just playing some squash.
Right, plus he got there really early, and that's why he had the angle to be able to hit a reverse from that spot. Yeah, you're right, though. He looks like he's back in the match again. Oh.
That's a great shot by Zach.
Yeah, but Michael's been getting those for the most part.
Yep. Yeah. But that's a nice backhand volley drop shot onto his side wall there. Well done.
Okay, now there's a second serve.
Yeah.
You better be careful with this one.
No, he didn't cut that one close.
No.
Wow.
Great net there.
That's another winner by Zach. I mean, Zach has hit a lot of winners so far in this match.
What's a stroke?
11-8.
I think he had cleared enough not to get a stroke, but you know, any call that doesn't go Ferreira and Hartigan's way, they're going to be feeling a little bit like the world's against them, or at least the referee. Wow. Great shot by Will Hartigan off the back wall. He hits a little roll corner, backhand roll corner. And keep in mind that he's a right wall player, so very nice shot. And they've closed the gap again back to 2.
Great shot.
And a really nice shot by
Ferreira.
Michael Ferreira. Very high, too. That's the kind where you could make an error. Nicely done.
Huge point here.
1-point game. First game, again, was won by 1 point. A controversial 1 point. But these two teams have been very evenly matched so far.
11-all.
And that's an error by Zach Alexander. So now we are tied 11-all at the very nitty-gritty part of this game. Was going for that same shot he got on a moment ago. That's going to be a let.
Good call. Will's been doing a great job battling Scott for position. Scott is very big, very strong, and Will's been right there with him.
I saw it off the floor.
They might appeal this.
Will is
That's
not
our job,
pleased
is
with
to see
that
it from
call.
up here. Will, we're playing on. It's 11.
Steve, can you show it to us
right,
one more
Mike.
time there? I think he may have gotten that,
He
Rob.
did get it.
I think he may have gotten it.
He did get it.
Yep.
Good play.
Shot.
And out.
That wasn't
13-11.
quite the right choice by Will on that. Zach was too far up to hit a drop shot. Scott has been 3 feet in front of the tee. He's just making it so hard to get it past him.
Well, they've reestablished their 2-point lead, which they've had through much of this game. Ferreira and Hartigan had cut it down to gotten even at 11-all, but it's now back to a 2-point lead. One on a not-up call that Robin, I think, was incorrect. I sort of feel like it would be only just desserts if somehow Ferreira and Hartigan came back to win this game and tie it up, but...
Look how far Scott up. It's amazing.
Good point, Rob.
Great point by Hartigan here. He's been carrying the play at the whole point.
They're playing Hartigan like crazy, too. Oh,
good
they got an error out of Ferreira.
Mike got stuck a little too far up on that.
Scott left.
He handles pace so well, but that one actually was smart because it was hit sort of right at him, almost a body blow.
Yep, and he couldn't quite get his racket in front of it.
Unbelievable shot.
That's a good play.
So watch this, just reflex drop shot,
wow,
half volley drop shot.
And he was stuck up front and Will crushed it at him.
So, wow. Well, if you are Michael Ferreira and Will Hartigan, you are feeling like the world is a very unjust place at the moment.
That's right.
You feel like you played your heart out and they played really good squash, and yet they're down 2. Again, the first one on a controversial no-let call at 14-all. And then in the second game, there are at least 2 calls, one that we think definitely went against them when it shouldn't have. And so they're feeling persecuted here. They're playing good squash, though, so if somehow they can get their head around the fact that they've been playing well, they could work their way into this.
They've taken some body blows, though.
They definitely have.
Zach and Scott are really pounding them.
I'd like to just point out as we're watching the replays here something that you were commenting on, which is just how far up Scott Arnold is playing. You know, yesterday in his match, we talked about the fact that he was actually stuck deep in the court a lot. He was letting other people play in front of him. And it's almost like he has made a determined call here that he is not going to be. Look, I mean, just look on that replay how far up he is.
He's 3 feet in front. He's 3 or 4 feet in front.
3 or 4 feet in front of his opponent, who's actually, you know, slightly in front of the tee. I mean, he's really far up in the court, and he's been there the whole game.
He's been daring them to blow it by him,
and they have not been able to.
Exactly.
Will's had a few good shots there, but Scott's come up with his own winners, and you know, he may really be. Zach has made his normal number of winners. He's also made some errors. But Scott really is playing. He's sort of the difference, in my opinion.
I don't think Scott's made more than 1 or 2 errors this whole 2 games.
And a bunch of shots.
Absolutely. And some great gets. And he's also just forcing them deep. I mean, his power is definitely getting them backing up.
Yep.
Even though they've made very good defensive adjustments to it, it just sets them up to hit. They've thrown more punches than.
Let's see what happens here when they come back on court. I just want to see whether there's any conversation or looking up at the referees. It would be good if there was not, because we'd sort of like to.
I don't think there will be, in part because the last couple of points in that game did not involve the referees. And from 11-all to 15-11, there weren't any calls involved in there. And they just got, outplayed those 4 points.
They're still continuing to have a little conversation. They gave each other a little pat on the back there. So, I mean, the quality of squash here has been very high. When we just think past the first 2 games, there are not a ton of unforced errors. It's been much more a winner-laden match than an error-laden match.
Especially the second game.
Yep. So we shall see. All right.
Level play.
It's a tough road to climb here, but they've been playing very well. Let's see if they can get the first step back, or whether the number 1 seeds will justify their number 1 seeding and move on to the finals.
Yes, lap. Level. Level.
Nice coverage. Oh, that's a great shot by Zach. He was doing that in the first game.
But Will ran it down, even though he was totally caught going forward. He kept, got out of that with a let.
Actually, in most of the first game too, when he was lobbing over Will's head. But I think it's not just about trying to get a winner there. It's about trying to set up a hard shot later on and to just get them moving. Well,
and out.
We said we hadn't seen a lot of errors by Scott, but that one was a definite. That's an overhead into the floor.
Yep.
He almost got a winner there. It's a beauty.
1-0.
He was a little more careful with that one. He'd missed a couple, and this one he really set his feet right and made sure he kept it above the tin. Will was a little too far back.
But Rob, that's about the 5th time we've seen Zach from the front of the court take a ball on his forehand and hit it into his own left corner. A very short reverse corner. He's done that now a number of times.
And you've got to be there real early to be able to set up in order to do that on your forehand.
Yep.
There's a natural tendency to play it on the backhand.
This is close to being. No,
really?
No, he was out of the way.
1-0.
Smart shot by Zach there as he was scrambling a little bit just to give them time to get back into position. But didn't matter. Great hard shot by Will. And really a very smart place for it. Sort of on the opposite side of Scott. They gave a let there.
2-1.
Yeah. Which they should have. Scott was ready. Will wasn't sure, but I think that
Will was sure that it was a no let. Whether he was correct about that or not, different story. Nice backhand overhead, very short.
Yes.
So this is a nice little opening from Ferreira and Hartigan.
Down. And out, 2-3.
Going for the reverse.
Yeah, that was the right time to try it.
Yep.
Just missed it. It's good that he's thinking aggressively and looking to shoot when it's there. He hasn't tinned very much today either.
No, you're right. He got hit on the hand.
Yeah, he did.
2-4, Zach on the left. It's a no let. We thought you were a little late onto it.
Wow, no let. I was surprised they didn't give Zach a let on that.
Sorry?
Well, referees are, they're certainly not biased. They're making their calls.
And 3-4.
We have the benefit of replay. They don't.
Very right, 3-4.
Zach didn't really protest that much.
No, he didn't.
And he hit a winner right away on the next point.
Yes, he did.
So he's back in the game. Played by Will.
Wow, Will's doing a
one.
lot of running here.
Yep. He's been equal to the task.
Oh, up until there.
That might have been too much running on that point.
Well, you can see it here. He's scrambling still to get back in position.
Left.
He just wasn't in position. He had to sort of lunge at that one.
Right.
But that's what it looked like to me at the beginning of the first game. Seemed to be their strategy was they were going to make Will go up and back. They sort of got away from that, but in that point, that was right back at that.
Boy.
Strike.
Yep.
Right box, 5-4.
Yep, good call.
That's definitely a stroke.
Good call.
Perfect. Perfect illustration of a ball hit back at yourself, winding up as a stroke. Scott is maintaining his strong up in the court position. Look how far up he is there again.
6-4 left.
Well,
tin that.
Zach.
He did tin it, and Ferreira and Hartigan were up 4-2, and it is now 6-4. So that's 4 points in a row that they've given up.
Well, they played those points well for the most part.
It's a little bit frustrating for them just because the beginning middle part of this game is super important.
Absolutely,
especially being down 2-love. They have to maintain proximity and or in the slight lead, and now they've just got to absolutely stay close. And meanwhile, Zach and Scott are just going about their business, and if they can just keep it up, they will be on their way to the finals.
Right. 7-4, Zach.
And that, unfortunately, is an error by Will.
He had Scott behind him also.
It's at least the second time there that you've said that, where it was the right shot, but he just missed it.
Yep.
And
also, there's pressure on him to cut it really close because
Correct.
Scott is moving so well to the front.
Partly because he's standing 4 feet in front of the red line. Look at him again. Look how far in front he is.
Another 10.
8-4.
Wow.
This is tough now. This is this is do or die time. They've really got to close the gap fast here. These points are critical for Ferreira and Hartigan, or else they're going to be going home, and Zach and Scott are going to be on their way to the finals. These next few points, Rob, are absolutely critical for.
Hand out, 5-8.
Asking for let, no let.
No, they said no let. He had Will in his way. That's a call that went their way.
Yep.
That didn't have to.
Well, I do not think the referees are in any way biased here.
Oh, of course not.
Oh, wow.
That's a crazy
5-9.
good shot there.
Boy,
That's a cross-court drop shot off the back wall by Zach.
Hand out.
An amazing
10-5.
shot.
Wow.
And now
Nice
look
shot
at
by
Scott has hit another good shot.
Wow.
They are, I will say this, in the first match and a half, I did not think that Scott and Zach looked like the #1 seeded team that they were meant to be. They've looked all of it tonight.
Absolutely.
They've looked really strong. Right. And a lot of that is
10-6.
Scott just moving up, taking control. Now, he made an error there, but he's really played good squash today.
But I have to say, Will has hung in with him well, extremely well. He's by far the lowest ranked player in this match. He completely deserves to be in this match. He hasn't been overpowered or overwhelmed or outshot or anything. That could be a stroke.
Yes, lad. 10-6. So it's a little out in front of you, mate. That's all.
Yeah.
Hey, Mikey. And Will, can you guys play on? I'm asking you to play on. 10-6.
They have been shaded by the whistle a little
Mikey,
bit. Mikey,
play on, please.
This is not about this particular call, in my opinion. This is about the cumulative
Mikey,
effect.
conduct warning. Stop arguing. 10-6. 10-6.
That call would have been largely innocuous in another situation, but with all that's gone on before and the fact that they're in big, big trouble right now. And they're playing against a team that's just confident. That's another winner off the back wall from Zach. He's hit a bunch of those in this match. He's been shooting very, very well.
Yeah. Zach won the North American Open last year on the right wall. He wants to be back on the left, and he's very happy that he's playing with Scott at this point. He can play both walls beautifully, but he played a great left wall match today.
Head out.
It's a great shot.
7-11.
Michael's hit a number of tens this game, but he didn't back away from that shot.
Yeah, I mean, they've just got to hang in here, or this is just gone.
Yes, flat. 7-11.
It almost hit Michael.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Good shot.
It's a great shot by Will. A smash, forehand cross court
8-11.
into the neck there.
Front left, Nick.
Nicely done. If Ferreira and Hartigan can win this point, they're back to just a 2-point game, which looked like, oh wow, but that's a great shot by Scott.
Yep.
Sensing the open court, hitting it back behind
Right, 8-12.
Michael, forcing Will to try and cover all the way over, which he just couldn't get to.
Right.
And now it's back to a 4-point lead. That was a big swing point there. That was interesting because both Zach and Scott were both sort of putting the ball up in the court, semi-lobs, but at least taking the pace off the ball until it didn't quite work out for him there.
That's like 9-12.
Michael and Will are actually carrying the play right now. They've dictated the last couple of points. They've been the aggressors.
Yep. But you almost have the feeling that Zach and Scott are like weaving a spider's web. That's like, go ahead.
10-12.
But it is back to a 2-point lead.
Wow.
So, you know, Michael and Will have really clawed their way back into getting just a 2-point deficit. They've got to keep going here.
This is a huge point right here. Ooh, great play by, they almost got, I got a little confused with who was going to hit that.
Oh my gosh, big point by Scott. Yep. Watch this cross-court overhead and into the neck.
13-10.
Wow.
Very nicely done. As you said, that was a big point. Could have been a 1-point game. It's now a 3-point game. They're 2 points from moving on to the finals. Ferreira and Hartigan are up against it, and unfortunately that was a ball right into the bottom of the tin.
Oh, that was a bad one.
And that is not a good error, and that gives them 5 match balls in a row here to get into the finals. Nice shot by Michael. Yeah. Looked like he was going to go down the middle, and it went down the other side.
Or maybe he was going to go.
It hit the 10. I didn't realize it hit the 10. Wow. So
let's see that.
That is game and match. So Scott and Zach have won the match 3 games to
he
love.
Did hit the 10. Yep.
And that's well. Let me say this, Rob. I feel that Zach and Scott were the better team.
Absolutely.
I do not think that they were the better team by as much as this 3-love scoreline looks like they were.
Absolutely, and that first game, especially with that call that was made against them, had a lot to. I think that Zach and Scott were going to win this match even if they lost that point. But that really put them. That was a very important part of this match.
Yeah, it was a huge point, and it obviously, and I will say that Michael and Will had you could certainly understand. Let me put it that way. You could understand why they could feel a little bit like the world was against them in this match.
Most of the close calls went against them, and some of them were on important points.
Yes, yeah. That's the way to say it.
Right.
And
I was amazed how many winners Scott hit on his backhand, deep into the court, or a couple that he angled. But he's got a monstrous forehand.
Both Scott and Zach hit an awful lot of winners today.
Right. And this is a very, very good retrieving team they hit those winners against.
And we saw something very different here where we saw Scott really step up in front of the court. He was really far forward, and he was able to maintain that position. Now, having said that, Will Hartigan played well.
Absolutely.
And he hung in there. But if you are giving somebody 4-foot advantage in front of you, and somebody like Scott who can we saw him hit so many winners, and he was hitting the ball hard. For my mind, Scott was really the differentiator today.
Absolutely.
Zach is almost always one of the best players on the court, and when he had shots to make, he did it. We expect that from him. is a brilliant player. Scott, we know, is a very solid player, but boy, his shot making tonight was really extraordinary.
He also made some great gets. I mean, his athletic presence.
Yes.
Was such an important part of this match.
Yep.
And he's without being in any way a dirty player, he's a very physical player, and that's just a lot. I mean, he's got a lot of size and strength advantage on Will on the right wall, and Will was just battling beautifully to keep his position, but Scott was sort of forcing the play this whole match.
Well, we do have the number 1 seed of Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold making it into the finals by a 3-love scoreline that both my co-commentator Rob Dinnerman and I think is not indicative of how close this match really was. Having said that, it was a very, very sharp and strong performance by the number 1 seeds, looking very much like they deserve to be the number 1 seeds.
And they're coming into tomorrow's final with all cylinders clicking. They're playing. This was really by far their best match.
And so speaking of that, who are their opponents going to be? Well, we're going to find that out in a few minutes. We've got the number 3 seed, Eric Bedell, and Chris Callis. Chris Callis is the second half of the defending champions from last year, and against Jamie Stout and Ivan Badan. And that match is scheduled to go off. Well, it's scheduled for 6 o'clock, so it will be going off in just a few minutes. The players will be coming on to warm up, and we will take a break until the players are on court. See you back here in just a few minutes, everybody, for the second semifinal of the 2020 David C. Johnson Memorial Squash Tournament. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the David C. Johnson Memorial Squash Tournament 2020 edition. We are in the semifinals. We just had our first final team make the finals, and that is Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold. They are the number 1 seeds. They just beat Michael Ferreira and Will Hartigan, the number 4 seeds, in a very entertaining 3-game match that was much closer than the 3-game scoreline would indicate. One of the crucial turns came at 14-all in the first game, when there was a very controversial call that went against Ferreira and Hartigan, and that led to Alexander and Arnold winning the match. They deserved to win. They played. They were the better team, but as I said, it was a very well-played match overall, and we are now just getting ready for the second semifinal between the number 2 seeds, Jamie Stout and Yvonne Badan, and they are playing the number 3 seeds, Eric Bedell and Chris Callis. This, again, should be another entertaining match. Chris Callis is half of the defending champion team. He won it last year, this tournament, the David C. Johnson, with Zach Alexander, who has booked his ticket to the finals. And so it'll be interesting if Bedell and Callis can upset the number 2 seeds and get to the finals as well, because we would have last year's champions on opposing sides in this year's championship match. But that is not nearly a done deal, because Jamie Stout and Yvonne Badan have been playing very well. I'd like to take this moment to introduce my co-commentator, Rob Dinnerman. Rob has been here through much of the matches, celebrated author, celebrated writer, celebrated statistician, a great player in hardball singles, and a doubles player as well. He played in the qualifying for this tournament. And I know earlier in the week, you had been saying that you thought that Jamie Stout and Yvonne Badan looked like the team of the tournament. I'm wondering what you think now, having seen Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold play so well. Really the best match they've played so far in this tournament in that first semifinal. First, do you think Jamie and Yvonne are the favorites in this match? And we can go on from there.
I do think they deserve to be favored in this match. They played so well to this point. They've been the team that has won their matches most impressively of any team prior to what just happened in the semi just now.
Yeah.
Eric Bedell, we said before his matches this week that he was sort of the wild card and the person who had to play well, because we knew that Chris Callis, the number 1 player, was going to play well. Eric has answered every challenge so far. This is going to be another test, and maybe the hardest test to this point.
Yeah. I mean, so let's just talk about that for a second. Eric Bedell and Chris Callis. Chris Callis, I think most people know, is the number 1 ranked player on the entire SDA Tour. Coming into this tournament, playing with Manik Mahor, they had won 3 tournaments in a row. Manik is an amazing player. Chris is also an amazing player, and that's why they had won 3 tournaments in a row. But he's the number 1 player in the world. His partner, Eric Bedell, is number 34 on the SDA Tour. So as you said, the pressure has been on him. He's a good player. He went to Bates. He is from here in Brooklyn Heights. He's a Heights Casino product. He's currently pursuing his MBA at NYU Stern. And he has the least pedigree of any of the 4 people who will be in this match. But as you said, so far in this tournament, he has more than stood up to the demands made on him.
And he's done it with a certain confidence, as if he's not surprised that he's at this part. And he does have the confidence of Chris Callis, his partner. He's played great so far, no question about that. One other interesting point about this match is that 3 of the 4 players are one way or another affiliated with the Racket and Tennis Club. Jamie Stout is actually the court tennis and rackets pro there, but he plays lots of squash and lots of doubles. Eric Bedell is one of the squash pros there, and Chris Callis has been a member there for 3 or 4 years. So they're all certainly very familiar with each other.
Yes. So let's talk about Jamie and Yvonne for a second. So Jamie Stout is number 6 ranked pro on the SDA Tour, born in Bermuda. As you just mentioned, he's the rackets and court tennis pro there, and with good reason, because he has been the world rackets singles champion. He is the reigning world rackets doubles champion. He has also been the U.S. Open court tennis champion. Let's just say that he likes having a racket in his hand.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And he's the number 6 player, not even playing a full schedule, because he does have these tournament commitments to these other sports.
Yeah. He's very impressive, and when you watch him, he looks very relaxed. He looks, I mean, it would be a cliche to say it, but he looks a little bit like he was born with a racket in his hand. It looks very natural. He looks very relaxed all the time. His partner, Ivan Badan, is from Switzerland. He has won a lot of tournaments. He was a member of Trinity College during their national championship streak. He was a Swiss national champion in singles softball, which is not a minor feat. He is a very good squash player himself, and he has been very much an equal partner with Jamie in these matches. This is not a matter of Jamie being the dominant player. They are a dominant team together.
Absolutely. In fact, Ivan has more of a doubles record really than Jamie, in part because that's really been his only concentration during these last about 10 years or so. He was originally at Appomattox, where Peter Briggs, who was a 2-time North American Open doubles champion, taught him how to play doubles and taught him very, very well.
And he's won, he's won the most titles of, well, I don't know he or Chris, but he's won a lot of SDA titles. A lot of SDA titles.
Absolutely. Neither he nor Jamie has ever won this championship, though.
Right.
So that's something to add to their list, so to speak, if they can do so.
So let's orient you all here, just so you know who the players are. Jamie Stout is standing on the tee right now.
Bedell and Callis.
His partner Ivan Badan is about to serve. Chris Callis is on the right-hand side of the court
Stout and Badan, best of 5 games.
Right now, and Eric Bedell is on the left-hand side of the court.
Clinton and Mike Lovell.
And we are about to get underway in the second semifinal match.
Down. 1 love.
So, Rob, any prediction from you in this match?
I think that Ivan and Jamie deserve to be favored, but I think Chris and Eric have a very good chance to win, especially if and only if Eric plays as well as he's played to this point.
So, Rob, any prediction in this match? That was a good answer. In other words, they're both good teams.
They're both good teams.
I got it.
And I think that Jamie and Ivan deserve to be favored.
Okay.
Down.
I think, folks, that's as close as I'm going to get them to committing. But good enough. I mean, it's been really fun watching both these teams all week. They've played well in all their matches. And their roads to the semifinals. That's wow. A top spin. I mean, really, that's a top spin overhead because he got the ball to bounce up off the side wall to go over the 10.
1,
but
2.
It was a top spin overhead miss hit, though. He had not intended that shot.
They're all laughing about it.
It's because there's 2-1 in the game. If it were later in a crucial point, nobody would be laughing quite as much.
Yeah, well, we've seen that in the previous match. So Jamie Stout and Ivan Badan beat Alex Dominic and Peter Kelly 3-love in the first round. They beat Graham Bassett and Ahmed Angari in a closer than I think they might have thought 3-1 last night. And so they've gotten here having only lost 1 game so far. Eric Bedell and Chris Callis also have only lost 1 game so far. They beat Jimmy Haycox and Ricardo Lopez Valdivia 3-love in the first round, and they beat Adam Buse and Colin West in a pretty entertaining match yesterday, also 3-1. And so unlike the two teams that we just saw, both of whom had a 5-game thriller on their way to the semifinals, these two teams have gotten here fairly convincingly.
Well, except that I think last night's quarterfinal over Buse and Cullen was 1 point in the fourth.
Yeah,
so that was very close to being a 5th game also.
You are as always correct.
Three, 2.
Well, a couple of errors
4-2.
there from Eric Bedell in a row. He, we suspect, is likely going to be the focus of Jamie and Yvonne's attention for much of this match. That's been everybody's strategy so far. As you said, Rob, Eric has held up
5-2.
very well so far on the weekend, but this is probably another level of scrutiny that he's going to have to face here.
It's a great shot making by Stout early.
6-2.
Yep. Stout and Badan are playing very well so far. They've come out looking like they want to make an imprint quickly, and they have. And so far, we've barely seen Chris Callis hit a ball.
Yes, let.
And most of the balls that Callis are hitting are balls that they're trying to hit to Bedell, and it's sort of breaking off the wall, and so Callis is going back and taking it, so he's playing balls off the back wall.
Right, with his backhand also, so in a defensive position.
It seems like Stout and Badan, at least early on, are determined not to let Chris be too big a factor in this match. He's good enough, though, that he will work his way into it at some point here.
Oh,
That's
there's
a great
good play.
shot.
Yep, by Eric.
Well done. A hard shot down the middle, off the back wall by Bedell. Nicely done.
Great length by Stout.
3-7.
He's hit about 4 winners so far.
I mean, we're talking 6 or 7 balls in a row to Bedell before it goes over to Callis. Again, that's Callis, playing a backhand off the back wall. There he goes. He actually got a ball.
Great cover by Stout.
It's a good point, Rob.
Great point.
Nice. That's a good shot by Bedell. Reset the point there. Put Jamie under some pressure.
Whoa!
Oh, wow. That's probably going to be a lead, I would think.
Yep. Yeah, but you can pull the muscle out.
I think he had a play on it. He just stepped right on.
Stats.
Both players could have gotten hurt there.
That's right.
But listen to the crowd. The crowd's
James,
applauding
right?
because that really was a great play.
Whoa.
Yeah. Sort of tripped over Chris Callis' Achilles.
It's Eric on the left.
So
3-7.
thankfully, all parties are fine.
Right.
3-7.
And we are playing a let.
Second serve.
Yep. Ball was out on the midline there, on the floor.
Down.
And there it is. They gave Chris a chance, and he hit a winner.
4-7.
He sure did. It was a great shot from not such an easy angle.
My feeling is that may mean that Eric's going to see even more balls.
That's
Flat,
quite possible.
4-7.
This is interesting because Bedell and Callis are really pounding the ball at this point. It's another good point.
Yep.
Play all over the court. Oh, wow. That is a great backhand volley. Cross court, although cross court is
5-7.
hardly the right term because it was about he's about 4 feet from the side wall. He hit a backhand volley into the forehand right corner, drop shot, nick.
Not up.
Good shot there. That's the shot that Zach was hitting in the
Yep.
last match.
6-7.
That's a little reverse corner to his own wall there by Eric Bedell. Nicely done.
Second serve.
He's going to have to do a bunch of shots like that. But the fact that he's hanging in there and that he's been able to hit a winner or two has meant that they have closed it to within 1 point, which is impressive because he is seeing a lot of balls. Oh, wow. That's going to be a stroke. Yep. It's a nice drop shot. Very tight.
Stroke.
Yep.
7-all.
Wow.
Eric
4-point
left.
run from 3-7.
And two of those points were really long points.
Yeah.
Nicely done by Eric and Chris. Wow. Winner off the back wall from
Side out.
Nutbot.
8-7.
A sort of forehand short slam. Nicely done.
That's what Scott Arnold did a fair amount in the semifinal we saw before this one.
Yep.
Wow, great nick by Yvonne.
Yvonne hitting an overhead cross court
9-7.
into the front wall, side wall. Nicely done.
It's interesting he's coming in serving to Chris.
That is a very interesting point there.
That hasn't happened yet, and I'm surprised it's happening. Caught Chris out of position on that.
10-7.
3 quick points from 7-all.
Yep. That's the problem there. A good team. You can do all that work to get to even and then just as fast.
Down.
Oh boy.
Oh, that was
11-7.
2 mistakes by Bedell after getting to 7-all. He's played very well up to this point. But this is part of it. If you're playing one player a lot, the attrition is not instant. It's attrition over a period of time. But they're playing more balls to Chris now too. And there we go.
Great reverse by Chris. Really tight.
That is really
11-8.
From an awkward position, right, hitting it into his body to hit that reverse corner. Impressive.
Just squeezed it off.
$11-8. A slat.
Great shot
Side
by
out.
Bedell.
9-11.
Back within 2.
It's good after they had worked so hard to get back to even, and then they dropped 4 points in a row. Now to win the last 2. Nice shot by Bedell. Good retrieve by Stout. Another good point here. Good all court. Oh, Stout had an opportunity, but the ball played him. He just elected to keep it alive here. Nice covering by Badan. This is a great point, Rob.
Yep, that's part of the match, and maybe the most important one so far. Oh, that's happened a few times this game.
Yes. But the crowd appreciates it nonetheless, as they should. That was a great, exciting point. Stakes are high here.
Down.
Oh.
That's too bad. This was still a critical point.
Yeah, I think he thought it was going to hit the nick, and it bounced up into his face, and he couldn't quite adjust.
Wow.
It's actually one of those where if the shot had been better, he might have been better prepared.
Right.
Still, it's only 3 points. This is a yet another very, very important point.
Thank you.
Great shot by Stout. And overhead into the nick, the near nick.
Well,
13-9.
As every time it's gotten close, Stout and Badan have sort of, risen their game a little bit. Either created what they haven't done is made any errors, but they've either let the other team make an error or they've hit a winner.
Great nick.
Watch this shot. Boom. He just sort of uses his body,
game ball.
edges Callis out, hits a forehand drop volley into the front corner.
While he was still moving sideways.
Yep.
That's a very tough swing.
Nice shot, but very calmly retrieved by Badan. Bedell is playing quite well, but wow.
Perfect.
Everything that Bedell hit, they got back, and then when finally
15-9,
Jimmy got a chance, he had a really nice overhead reverse corner, and that gives them the game. First game, 15-9. Rob, what are your thoughts?
Well, it was 7-all, then 11-7, then 9-11, and then they ran at the end. I mean, they definitely played much better than anything that Chris and Eric could cope with that game. If they play at this level, they're going to win this match.
Yeah.
What's going to happen is Chris and Eric are going to have to play a little bit better than they have been, cut a few of the tins out, convert a few of the openings that they didn't convert.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And they could, even that's not going to be enough if Yvonne and Jamie play at this level all the way through.
So I guess if I were looking at this first game, I thought Eric played very well. They were playing him like crazy. I do think that there are opportunities that he's not taking for, where he has the chance to hit some sort of winner there, or to go for an offensive shot, and he's not taking it. Now that's hard when you're getting so many balls sort of thrown at you. And Chris, did what he could, but he's not seeing a lot of balls, and a lot of the balls he is seeing are in, as you said, very defensive situations.
Right.
So they've got their work cut out for it, but a lot of it's going to be, I hate to say it, but it's going to be how well Eric responds to this.
Absolutely right. This is more pressure and more intense pressure than he's been under to this point of this tournament.
So if you're Jamie and Yvonne, are you thinking more of the same? Is that all you're thinking?
Absolutely. There's no reason for them not to be thinking that way.
Yep. And clearly their strategy was, we're going to hit 80% of the balls to Eric, and we're going to see what happens, and we're not going to go for too many early winners, but when the chance presents itself, we won't be shy. Which
they've converted that game too. They were very efficient.
Few unforced errors.
Right, and they were very efficient when they had open opportunities.
Yeah, it was an impressive first game. So if they keep going like this, they are going to find their way into the finals. But Chris Callis is not number one in the world for nothing. It's going to be tricky for him to figure out how to control this match when he's not seeing a ton of balls. I think it's likely going to be Eric's going to have to do some adjustments here. As I said, he didn't play a bad game. He made a couple errors, and he didn't take some offensive situations, but he did hit some good winners. He had pounded a ball down the middle. He had a couple of reverses. But he's going to have to do more of that. I think he's going to be more offensive-minded.
And part of why he hasn't been is that really Jamie and Yvonne put more defensive pressure on you even than offensive pressure. They are very, very good at, first of all, positioning in a way that complement each other, and they're both great retrievers. So when you go short, there's pressure on that shot.
Yeah. So just to, I think, elaborate on what Rob is saying there, is that their positioning and their defensive skills means that when you have an opening, it gets into your head a little bit.
Second game.
Well, we can hear our referee very clearly.
Do all the juniors in the front row have their eye guards on? Yes? All right. It's gotten hairier recently. I guess this is Brooklyn, though. Stout, Badan, leave one game to love. Second game, Laval. Quiet, please. Shh. Laval.
So the referee is Graham Bassett, who's the chair of the whole SDA Tour. Played a good match last night, losing in the quarterfinals.
One love.
It's a good forcing shot.
Yep.
Side out, 1-all.
Good length, sort of dying off the back wall. So they're looking at the ball.
Yeah, which is not smart on Chris's part. He won the point there.
Yeah.
A broken ball takes that away from him.
In actuality, according to the rules, he's not supposed to look at it. If he has any question about it, he should just throw it right up to the referee.
Yep.
Oh,
No.
That's a hole in the racket.
2-all.
That ball really did
Eric
creep along
Wright.
the left wall, and Jamie couldn't steer it back in.
Yeah, it's a very nice shot. One of the lessons there was something that, you know, a lot of people who play squash don't always have in their heads, is how important width is. People hear about length and hard hitting all the time, but keeping the ball tight to the side wall, precise hitting, is actually probably the single most important aspect of the game in terms of ball position.
3-2.
He got him, but it was a little bit of a tap.
Yeah. He held up most of his swing on that.
Yeah.
No let.
Oh,
Oh.
that's interesting. It seemed to, I think both you and I, Rob, that was, or you and me, that it
said the
was,
same thing.
he was
4-2.
holding up his swing and concerned about Callis. So I would like to see him rewarded with a let for doing that.
Right. For one thing, it'll make him not swing through the next time that Chris is in a vulnerable position.
That's why I say rewarded with a let, because it's a nice shot by Chris.
Down,
And
thank you.
Yvonne's calling him
He's
down
hit
on
some
himself.
really good reverse
5-2.
corners when he's had a chance to.
That's about the third time he's had a chance in the whole match. But yes, you're right. That's a nice shot. Good reverse corner by Bedell.
6-2.
This is a nice start. Second game for Bedell and Callis.
Just what they needed.
They desperately needed it. And part of what I like about it is Eric is in fact shooting and being a little bit more aggressive. And when Chris is getting his chance, he's taking it, which he has to do. That's an amazing
Great shot.
drop shot from Jamie Stout off the back wall. Very, very short.
Side out,
Getting the
3-6.
neck. And Bedell couldn't catch up to it. Terrific shot.
Those two were teammates last year in the U.S. National Doubles. They got to the finals with Bedell playing the right wall.
Bedell and Stout.
Yep.
Down.
Oh, a rare
I was gonna say
error from
3-7.
Jamie Stout, going for a short, straight shot with his forehand on the left wall and put it into the top of the tin.
and he's hit that shot very well this tournament.
Yep.
Another winner
Nice.
for Bedell. Yep.
Well, we said that Eric was going to have to be more offensive-minded, and he has
8-3.
done that
Yep.
at the beginning of this game. It's very impressive. As we've said, by far the lowest doubles pedigree of this group, and he's really responding beautifully, as he has through the weekend.
Thanks, Eric. Eric left 8-4. So you're putting in a good bid for it right now. It's good. 8-4. Yes, let. 8-4 left. Eric.
Beanball?
Sorry?
That was the beanball?
I think it went out on the side wall, believe it or not. Avoided the beam, but still went out. That's a nice shot. Good angle by Badan.
Yep.
You know, I think they've been trying to do that, but Eric's been holding up very well. But that was perfectly placed. I think I interrupted you, Rob, but you were...
No, it's just... Boy, another good shot by Eric down the middle.
Well, we said Eric had to respond, and I mean, all credit to him. He's responding.
Completely.
He's playing great.
It's really the main reason they're ahead by 9-5 at this point.
That's an interesting shot.
Yeah.
Well, but you know something? If I'm Chris, I would be saying to Eric,
6-9.
Go for it. Keep going for it. You have to do it. And, you know, that's a shot that he didn't pull it off well there, but it's not a bad shot to go for.
Absolutely. And he's been, you know, converting and hitting winners this whole game. Should be a lead, I think.
Yes, let.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice shot.
6-9.
Close to
It is close to a stroke because he hit it
really
back
close to a stroke. Yeah. Because that did not nick. It came all the way across.
Yeah.
Yes, let.
Eric was pretty pleased with his lob there. He was like, "Oh, I want you to play that ball."
Yeah, but Chris was pretty close to the line of fire there.
Yeah, no, it was. I think it was a very good let call. Nice shot.
Another good shot.
A reverse three-wall nick by Bedell.
10-6.
It actually, Yvonne Badan had a play on it, but it was just too good.
10-6.
It
Side
didn't
out.
roll, but
That's
but
the
it was
first time
very
we've seen
short.
that shot today in either
this
match.
Yes, in either match. We've seen a lot through the weekend, but so 10-6. This would be very impressive if Eric and Chris were to get this game.
They look pretty pumped up right now. They both look kind of excited after that last nick landed.
But the next few points are going to be determinative because we saw a lot of points won at the end of the first game. By Stout and Badan.
Play that, I think. Yeah.
Yes, let. 10-6. Back. Yes, let. 10-6.
It was a good get by Jamie, though.
Great play by Jamie. And not only did he have to get to it, the ball was on the wall, too, that he had to scrape off.
And he put it in a place that actually got a let out of it, which is probably a very good outcome for. It's another good defensive lob.
Yep.
Yes, let. 10-6.
A lot of the long points have ended in lets.
Yeah. This was a solid point, not quite as exciting as some of the other long ones we had seen, but this is, these are important points right here. We've been at 10-6 for a few points here.
Yep.
We had said that Jamie and Yvonne, this is where in the first game they sort of came to life and wound up winning a whole lot of points in a row. And we've now played this point. This is the third time we've played this point at 10-6. And it's important. They are really playing Eric, I mean, in a huge way, but there we go.
Wow.
Eric was up to it. Wow. It's an interesting shot. He's feeling like he should have called left there, which he probably should have.
It almost hit Chris also.
Yep.
It came at an awfully sharp
But that was a
angle.
very important point, Rob.
Yep.
I mean, from 10-6 to 11-6 instead of 10-7. This is big in terms of Bedell and Callis being able to even up this match. It's not done yet, but they are in a much better position with a winner like that from Chris, a beautiful volley reverse corner.
Yeah, he's hit that shot great.
12-6.
They're going to win this game. And that's going to change the whole
complexion
coming to the third game. They are definitely outplaying them this game.
Oh.
Is this a reverse
7-12. Or sorry, 12-7, excuse me.
That's a volley reverse three-wall nick.
Yep.
That's an impressive shot by Jamie Stout. Okay, you were very confident,
8-12.
but that's 2 points back.
Yep.
Still feeling good?
Yep, I still think they're going to win this game.
Well, 12-6 has suddenly become 12-9, and
9-12.
in the first game, Stout and Badan won an incredible number of points at the end of the game in a row. They're capable of doing it. That's going to be a stroke.
Yes, let.
Oh, boy, that could have been a stroke. I guess he was clear enough. He was stepping to the middle when he swung at it. Let's see that again. Here we go.
9-12. Yes, let.
Good call.
9-12.
I'm just hoping, Rob, that you didn't give them the kiss of death when you said they're going to win this game at 12-6. I'm just saying.
We'll see. I think they're going to finish this game out.
I may, if they lose this game, I'm going to go in the locker room and tell them that you're actually the hidden reason that they lost.
Oh.
Wow.
Chris was caught a little bit napping on that.
Well, that wasn't Eric's best shot choice, to be honest.
That's true, but that shot didn't sit down right away. He was just fooled by it.
All right, 12-6 to 12-10. As we said, Stout and Badan are capable of winning a lot of points in a row fast, and that's what they've done here.
Yes, let. 10-12.
Closing the gap. Bedell and Callis have played this game super well. And we're up 12-6, having really outplayed Stout and Badan for most of this game. But here at the end, closed it back to a 2-point game. And I dare say if my co-commentator Rob Dinnerman is not right, and Stout and Badan win this game, that could be big trouble for Bedell and Callis.
Wow.
But that's a big, nice shot by Bedell there. It didn't work for him last time. It did work for him here.
Yeah.
That's a nice near wall roll corner.
Yeah, I don't think Stout executed the shot he wanted on the previous swing, though. I think he was trying to roll corner and hit the front wall first.
It's a lot of towels being thrown into the court there, but it's because Jamie did a big dive going for that ball.
Should be a tradition.
So he wanted to roll corner.
Everybody in the crowd's got a towel and just everything throws it. Take some kids down and have to collect them all.
It's good that they're doing this, though, because some of the worst injuries I've ever seen have been wipeout injuries on wet spots.
Yeah.
I think he's sort of
on the singles tour, the PSA tour, there are a few players who are absolutely, completely conscientious about making sure that the court, James Willstrup, cannot stand playing on sweat. And, you know, he sweats a lot. And there are a few players that he plays against that sweat a lot on that court. And this court is actually, you know, unvarnished wood. And so it absorbs sweat and even spills very well. The PSA singles court, partly because it's blue,
10-13.
has a slight coating on it that makes it much less absorbent. It plays like wood and feels like wood, but it's much less absorbent. And so sweat can stay on it longer than it does on something like this. All right, well, your prediction is looking good now, Rob, because that's an error by Stout and Badan. So we've now got 5 game balls in a row by Bedell and Callis to win a game that, quite frankly, they have earned. And as you said, could completely change the complexion of this match. And there it is.
Yeah. The great, to be fair, that was a great get by Bedell that made had to make that extra swing.
That's a very nice game by Bedell and Callis. After really, quite frankly, even though it was close, the first game score is 15-9. They got pretty well dominated in that first game. And this is, and I think Rob giving credit where credit's due, Eric Bedell. I mean, he had to step up his game
and did. Yep.
And did.
Right, and he hit the winner that got them back on track after they'd been closed to 10-12.
Yep. I mean, it's really an impressive performance by Bedell.
Right. But I will say this: the scores were 10 and 9. But Bedell and Callis did not end up that game in as dominant a position as Stout and Badan did at the end of the first game.
Yes. Because at the end of the first game, Stout and Badan won a whole series of points in a row. Yeah. And in this one, the second game, Bedell and Callis are actually up 12-6 and let the gap get closed on them quite a bit until they finally did put it away.
Right. They're not in control of this match, even though they won that game. This match is at this
Elaborate on that, please, Rob.
Just that they, when Yvonne and Stout won the first game, they won going away. They were controlling the points. They were controlling the entire action. This game, first of all, a lot of the lead did get away, as you said.
Yep.
And secondly, they won the points that they needed to finish out the game, but they did not do that by controlling the points. There were a couple of tins. There was one by Stout that made it 14-10, and there was one by Badan at the end.
So let me just follow up with that, given what you're saying. Do you think that, as at the end of the first game, I said if you were Stout and Badan, would you just say more of the same? And so now, even though they just lost the game, if you were Stout and Badan, would you say more of the same?
Yes, but they do have to clean up some of the loose things that they did that game. There were some loose and sloppy tins, and there were some loose balls that they hit. They were much more efficient in that first game with their selection and with their execution, and they do have to go back to that.
I guess I'm just wondering, given how well Eric played in that last game, do you think, if you're sort of Stout and Badan, do you go, it's just a matter of time, if we can just, pressure him and pressure him and pressure him, he's just not used to playing at this level and eventually he will wear out? Or do you start to say, we need to move the ball around the court, distribute it a bit more evenly, and then maybe come back to him? Where would you be thinking?
I'd sort of be in between on that.
Okay.
I still would be directing most of my pressure at Eric, but also be aware and see how he reacts now that he's done that for this game.
Yep.
but also be aware that maybe there are other places where they can end the point as well.
I mean, the interesting thing here is that Callis, when he's gotten his opportunities, as befits the number 1 player in the world, he's made the most of them. There just haven't been that many opportunities. And so the question is, one thing that's very impressive about what he did in that game is he has not seen a lot of balls. And when he's gotten the opportunity, he's not been cold. He's been sharp.
Absolutely.
And that can sometimes be really hard when your partner's seeing a lot of balls and you can feel the pressure either to do too much or to, I've got to make this one count, and you're not as sharp as you might be, but Callis responded super well there.
Definitely did.
All right, we've started the 3rd game here. We're at 1-1. This is a very interesting strategic match at this point, because the team in black, Stout and Badan, who are the number 2 seeds and have been playing super well all weekend long, have found themselves in a trickier match. That's the referee. I don't think he was yelling at me to be quiet.
No.
I hope.
So at the crowd.
But they're having a challenge now. And
I thought it was good.
Nice overhead by Bedell.
He's had 2 winners to start this game.
Listen. Hang on, guys.
That's 5 straight points going back to the end of the second
never mind.
game.
Sorry, I didn't see him there. Sorry, guys. 2-love.
It's a good start for Bedell and Callis.
Good get by Bedell there.
Yep. So early on, they're not playing as dominantly to Bedell.
Oh, man.
That's a great shot. Up. Checking the ball.
Oh, it's gone.
Oh, wow.
Broken?
That's a very good call from Stout. So let's just, so we don't have it here on replay, unfortunately, but Eric Bedell hit a great shot off the back wall, winner. Looked like a very nice shot. But as soon as he hit it, Stout throws the ball up to the referee to check it, and indeed the ball is broken. And Bedell and Callis, with a smile on their faces, are giving Jamie a little bit of a hard time for taking away. And Jamie actually applauded Bedell's shot and said, "No, you hit a great shot, but the ball's broken, so we're going to get a let out of it."
And while Chris is warming up right now, there's I think a pretty serious conversation going on at the back wall between Jamie and Yvonne.
Yeah, well, as there should be, because they've lost the first few points of this game, and Bedell is continuing to play well.
So it's 2-0, not 3-0, right?
Because that's a let now, maybe. I think that's right. Because this should be a let because of the broken ball. So we'll see when Graham announces it, but I believe you're right. I think it's 2-love. Well, this maybe is slightly like a rain delay because, as you said, this is 5 points in a row to Bedell and Callis, and so maybe getting a broken ball here is a little bit like a rain delay for Stout and Badan. Not that overall we think they need it for the match, but they're needing to rethink things here a little bit. Bedell and Callis, all power to them, are playing very well.
And after being really completely outplayed in the first game.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens here, guys. Should be, well, we're excited that this match has turned exciting.
Right.
And
a lot of times when
very
there's a new ball, a lot of times when there's a new ball, that changes the play also.
So let's see what happens here. Here we are. Third game, 1-1 between the number 2 seeds in the black, the number 3 seeds in the red.
Ooh. Yes, let's.
It's a good call. It's a good call. And it was a good call by Jamie.
Yes, Lat. 3-love.
So it was 3-love. So we missed a point in there somewhere, Rob. You and I did.
I think.
One of the first times Eric has sort of let the
1-3.
ball play him over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he didn't move his feet on that.
He didn't move his feet. It was the first time we've really seen him make that kind of error in a long time. Oh, wow.
Somebody nicked at the back.
Yeah, it got a funny bounce on the back wall floor joiner there. So 2-3.
Get corrected. We got to play on. I may have.
We can hear Graham saying about the score. I think we may have been right, and Graham called it wrong.
Two guys correct.
They still have it as 3-2 on the
Well,
screen.
he's saying that he thinks he's going to do play on.
I believe you, but yeah.
The trick was that it was a broken ball, and that would have made it 3-love, and he may have marked it down on his pad already as 3-love, but in fact it should have been a let and gone back to 2-love, which is what you and I were aware of. But at this point, now that you've called it a bunch of times.
It's all right. 2-4.
No, it says 2-4 though.
Yeah, so he's going with it because he doesn't have replay either, and he can't hear us, so he doesn't know. And you know, his score pad looks. He said to whoever was pointing it out to him, he said, "I believe you, but I'm not." You know, so I think without the benefit of electronics or him hearing us or something along those lines, his responsibility is to do what he thinks is right. So anyway, that's an extra point to Bedell and Callis, for which they will not.
That's right.
They will not apologize or turn back. But anyway, we were the official score, regardless of what we think here, is now 5-3.
Good play by Eric, beating.
Side out, 5-3.
Eric's keeping up his high standard here. It's very impressive.
Wow.
That's a very
spot right into.
Watch how hard he hits this. And right, it's a
6-3.
body shot. Right,
Yep.
you know, Yvonne, if that had been out to the right 2 feet, Yvonne would have been able to play it no problem. But because it was right at his body, a hard shot to play. Again, Bedell is playing very, very well.
And he had beaten Yvonne to past him a couple of points earlier, and that also might have made Yvonne in a position where he could be wrong-footed on that play right at him.
Yep.
Oh, they almost got caught as to who was going to hit it.
It's good. One of them took it.
Eventually, Stout hit it.
Oh, nice shot.
Nick. Okay.
That's a nice overhead by Jamie Stout.
6-4.
Forehand cross court overhead into the neck.
They sort of needed that too.
They did. You know, this game. If this game
6-4.
gets away from them, Rob. Well, it's still early. Let's just see what happens here. Eric is continuing to play well. Chris is not let up at all when he's gotten an opportunity. He's playing well. And Jamie and Yvonne are facing an interesting challenge.
Oh, good let. Yes, let.
There was a match I was refereeing in Toronto, and probably about 1990, and it was being televised in Canada. It was the Canadian Open, and John Nimick was playing somebody, I can't remember who. And I called the score, and they both looked up at me and said, "That's not correct." And I looked down at my sheet of paper, and I said, "Yes, it is." And they said, "No, it's not." And I was the referee, so I said, "Yes, it was." And of course, on television, they were showing that I was absolutely wrong.
Wow.
And so the next day, I was walking down the street in Canada, and somebody said, "Hey, you're the squash referee, right?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "You were wrong." So, Graham, I think you were wrong here, but my sympathies are with you. That's all I can say.
Tight.
Oh, that was one point that Eric didn't handle that was hit at him.
Side out, 5-6.
Yeah, he's had a couple where he's been caught a little bit out, but boy, he's seeing a lot of balls, and he's standing up to it overall very, very well.
Yes, let. 5-6. Yes, let.
Good call.
5-6.
Stroke.
Yes, let.
Oh,
close.
5-6.
The crowd knows it too. They all gave a little laugh there.
Yes, let.
Talk about
5-6.
the crowd here for a second at the Heights Casino. This tournament, the David C. Johnson Memorial doubles tournament, and you can see it's packed in there, is the longest running doubles tournament, hardball doubles tournament in the world.
Yes, let.
And everybody here at the Heights Casino plays doubles. It's really and it goes from very, very, very good players who are on the Pro Tour, who have won national championships, to C and D players who are equally enthusiastic and are out here
5-6
a couple times a week. So they know the game.
Down,
they really
serve.
appreciate doubles. And this crowd is they're enthusiastic, and even when they're talking amongst themselves,
damn good serve though.
They are watching
5-6
and knowing what's going on. But you'll see as the situation gets close, the crowd will become deathly quiet because everybody will be interested. They know when a big point is ready to happen.
Oh yeah.
I also think they know that this
6
is
all.
an important part of this match, and that they really don't know quite which
way
it's
going to
go.
Yeah.
Right.
Neither do we
Right.
at this point. I mean, I agree with you that Stout and Badan have looked fantastic and were clear favorites in this match. They are the number 2 seeds, but I think we've both been impressed and maybe even a little surprised at how well Eric has withstood the pressure. And we're not surprised at how well Callis has played. But he's maintained his sharpness, as he shows with that winner right there.
Yep.
Despite
6-7.
having seen far fewer balls, and he knows that he has to stay sharp and be in this. And this is turning into a very interesting match. That's a nice shot.
Right. And that's happened a couple of times in the last 5 or 6 points.
Yep.
7 all.
Well, part of it is Ivan has found a little bit. He hit one directly into Eric's body, and then 2 he's hit sort of glancing off the side wall at good angles. So he's finding a little bit of range there.
Out of court.
Out.
Oh, got a little too much of that one.
Yep.
8-7. Side out.
You can almost hear the thoughts going through these players' heads in terms of like, I need to find that angle. I need to hang in there. that's a great three-wall.
Yep, by Ivan. He spins that off.
Watch where it nicks there. Kisser nicks. Finds the nick. Eric wasn't far from it, but it was a good nick.
He sort of spins it into the side wall, and he gets very good angle as a result of doing that. And it's hard to read.
It gets it to dive off of the front wall into that sort of nick.
Right. Good call.
Yes, let. 8-all. Left side.
You could see Chris was like, oh, I really sort of want to hit that.
Right. Especially because he hit a winner right past him a couple of points earlier in a very similar situation.
Yes, let. 8-all.
Getting a little physical on the right wall.
Wow. Chris didn't move off that ball quite as well as he might have, because if he had moved off a little better, he hit a very good shot. I think Ivan would have had a tough time getting it, but because he didn't move off quite quickly enough, Chris was in fact in the way. How hard can you hit it? Jeepers. Ivan is really cranking it up on this point here.
Yeah, but Eric's hanging.
He's hung in there.
Great adjustment there.
Oh.
Great play.
Smart shot.
And he and Stout acknowledged each other after that. That was a great team point.
It was.
Yeah.
And Ivan really sort of earned that point. He was cranking it up to another degree.
Yep.
So this is, again, interesting point in the match. In the first game at this point, Stout and Badan won a lot of points in a row. And in the second game, when they were down by a lot, they won a lot of points in a row. But eventually, Bedell and Callis hung on. So let's see what happens here. I sort of feel, Rob, like in my head, I'm still feeling like this is a more important game for Bedell and Callis to win.
Yes. Yep.
That if Stout and Badan were to lose this game, I wouldn't think they're out of the match. If Bedell and Callis lose this game, I think it's going to be very tough for them to win the match. And maybe that's unfair, but that's just having watched this match, that's my gut feel. That's
great get by Ivan.
This is now Chris is cranking it up. Oh, and he really wanted to hit that.
He did.
He really wanted to hit that.
9-8.
But he was right. If he had really swung at it the way he wanted to, he would have really hurt Ivan.
He's the one who's wanted to hit the ball the most. He's really sort of hungering for a chance to hit the ball.
Well, because he just isn't, he's still seeing far fewer than the other three players on the court.
Yep.
Yes, slat.
Good call.
9-8.
So we played this point a few times now.
Yes, slat.
They're playing each other awfully close on the right wall.
They are. It's gotten. I don't know if it's gotten physical, but it's gotten close.
It's gotten.
Is it getting physical too?
It's physical. It isn't chippy yet.
Yeah, it isn't
physical.
chippy. Maybe that's a good way of saying distinguishing it. Wow.
Callis can.
Look at this. This is what's called a poach, when you sort of step in when your partner's ready to hit it. And he stepped in, and Chris Callis hit a beautiful backhand roll corner from midcourt.
Side out, 10-9.
It's now 10-3 wall, it looked like. Great.
And then right back.
Yep. Great angle by Ivan.
Ivan has played very well in this particular game.
Yeah. He actually elbowed Chris out. I thought he might go down the right side, but instead he hit a really nice late cross court.
His power has actually worked very well at the last half of this game. Oh, that's a nice mix in the lob there. Callis had to take the long way around Badan there. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yes, let. 10-all. Eric left.
Chris, I think, is a little upset himself. So just if you weren't sure what happened there, Chris Callis called the let, and Eric hit the ball, and Eric had a play on the ball, but Chris didn't realize that when he called the let. And I think he was regretting having hit the let because they were in a slightly advantageous position. But anyway, here we are. 1-all, 10-all. So if we want to talk about a critical point in the match, this is about as critical as you can get.
Absolutely. It's dead even in every way, not just the score, but the control of the play. Chris looks like he's impatient with how many lets are being called. He just looks a little exasperated. Look at the look on his face.
Yep, he stuck his tongue in his cheek there. But he's called a bunch of the lets, although he hasn't wanted to. But
great play by Ivan.
Watch this get, and then a cross-court
that's a
drop shot into the neck. Beautiful shot by Ivan Badan. And really, after how hard he's been hitting the ball, to hit something that delicate shows just what kind of player he is.
Especially after the fact he had to really move to get to that ball.
Yeah.
That ball almost nicked in front of him, and he extended out and still controlled it perfectly in terms of catching that nick.
But I also think the combination, he's been walloping the ball on a whole bunch of points, and to wallop it that consistently and then hit something that delicate, really beautiful. I think he caught Badan on the backswing here. You'll see it. Yep, in his arm.
11-10.
It's interesting that Badan doesn't even react because he got some real contact there. There have been a lot of lets here, Rob.
Yep.
Since about 10-all, we played a bunch of points in a row. That shot.
Down. Thank you.
He's going for it, but
12-10.
Chris just missed it there.
That's a rare miss on that shot. He's been hitting that shot beautifully all match.
All match. You're absolutely right, but that was a critical point. It would have made it 11-all instead of down 12-10. I think you and I both share the feeling, and if Stout and Badan win this, it's a big deal.
Absolutely.
They're back to just complete completely playing Eric here as the point gets tough now. It's about 7 balls in a row to Eric.
He's held up though again.
Yes, he has.
Playing a very good point here.
Oh, nice get by Stout.
Great get. Oh
wow, nice shot by Bud.
Behind his back.
Big point.
Wow, they won.
He didn't call let there.
Nope,
that's a
got a little
point for Bedell and Callis. I think
a little confused on that.
Badan wanted Stout to call let, but I don't.
Right side, right side. 12-11. On the right, James.
Big point
12-11.
here.
Oh, wow.
Nick, wow.
Badan just takes that out of the air, slams the ball cross court into the neck.
13-11.
Wow, well over his head, too.
Beautiful shot at a very important point. After a really
13-11.
long point, too.
Yep.
To sort of do it right after the return of serve.
Yep.
Down.
Oh,
he missed that one. That's the one, same shot he made.
It was. He's going for that same sort of top-spin, delicate cross-court
Side
drop.
out.
All right. I don't know about you, Rob, but I'm feeling it.
Certainly a very big
12-13.
point. That's for sure. Biggest point of the match so far.
Absolutely.
Great get
Nice
by
get.
Nice get by Chris.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That is a cross-court drop shot.
Yeah, great nick.
Nice nick by Chris Callis. As we said, considering he's seeing certainly only about 20%, 30%, maybe 20 to 30% of the balls as his partner, he stayed remarkably sharp. $13-all, Rob. 13-all.
One thing, Stout is great at staying in the moment. Let.
Yes, let.
Okay.
13-all.
Chris didn't like that either, but
Yeah.
all right. 13-all.
That could have been a stroke, incidentally. That was a little close, but in this situation, it had to be an obvious stroke for them to call it, I think.
I don't think Ivan was looking for the stroke there. He just wanted to let.
stroke.
That is probably going to be a stroke. Yes, it is. A stroke.
That should be a stroke. That is a stroke. That's the right call.
Rack abuse. Right side, 13-14. Game ball.
Wow. But, unlike the one earlier in the
right
day,
side.
I think this was probably the right call, Rob.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The reason the crowd is reacting the way they are is, first of all, Eric Bedell is a Heights Casino product.
Game ball.
Of course.
And second of all, they're clearly the underdog. And, Bedell has hung out so well here.
Oh, wow. Stout hit an absolute roller. That was the best
unbelievable return of serve.
Best nick of the tournament.
Unbelievable return of serve.
That didn't even nick. That rolled. That was a holy roller.
If we were, last game we talked about the fact that Eric Bedell had played so well. In this game, the person of the game was really Badan.
Yes.
I mean, he was under some pressure himself, and he stepped up and made some gorgeous shots, hit the ball absolutely a ton. He found the angle against Bedell, a bunch of points in the mid-range part of that game where he got 3 winners in a row over there. We've had various people step up at various times, but this was Badan's game, in my opinion.
Great game, and he moved beautifully. He made a number of tremendous gets.
But yes, the shot of the match so far may be this last shot by Stout.
Was an amazing shot. Wow, that's off a serve return also.
Off a serve return.
Right.
At 14-13.
Wow.
I mean, stakes are pretty high. We'll see it again in a moment here as we go flash through the highlights. Oh, that was a nice poach by Callis there. Yep. One of the things Callis played, very sharp squash. That was that beautiful cross-court drop shot. That was another great shot.
I'd like to see that last shot. That was a great shot.
It's coming. We'll get there. It just reminds you how many great shots there were in this game. I mean, this has really been, here it is, right here, boom. It's brutal. It's unbelievable. Can we see it one more time there? Can you pull it up again?
Yeah, I'd love to see it one more time.
So the shot of
the serve.
So watch it again. Boom, right?
Wow, that was an absolute roller.
Just rolled.
Oh boy, that was a great shot. Not a great serve.
No, not a great serve. You're right.
And that's Eric's serve. Now, Eric sometimes just looks like he's just putting his serve in play.
So let's go through this again, Rob. So here we are. It's 2-1.
Oh.
Stout and Badan. I think we both felt that it was more important for Bedell and Callis to win that game.
Yes.
But
especially the way the game ended as well.
Yeah, I do think that Eric has played remarkably well.
Played
and
great.
If we were talking about the player of the match, he might get that honor because he's hung in here so well.
They'd have to win this match for me to say that.
I agree.
Right.
But anyway, so I asked you before. So if you're Stout and Badan, more of the same?
I think so, but more of the same was not quite what more of the same was in the first game.
That's true.
They did move the ball around a little bit more.
They
did go to Chris a little bit more.
A little bit.
I mean, most of this match was Badan hitting cross courts at Bedell.
Yes.
And Bedell handled it really well, but there were a couple of times that his armor got pierced a little bit.
And that's credit to Badan. I mean, Badan did a few things. He changed the pace around. He started picking up the pace when he decided to hit it hard. He found the angle on some of the cross courts,
yep.
And then he mixed in some beautiful, delicate shots up front.
He did.
And that's why I think in that last game he was really the person who stood out in that last game. But Bedell has not backed down. Bedell has certainly not collapsed yet.
No, not at all. Not at all.
He's
and I don't think he will.
He's held it together in this match. So we shall see here as we enter into the fourth game. With a position in the finals at stake, the #1 seed, Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold, have already earned their spot and are sitting there waiting. And that match, by the way, will be at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
Let me say this, Will. I don't think Yvonne and Jamie want any part of the fifth game.
Now, there's an interesting thing here. So they're asking for a new ball.
All right, here we go. Stout Badan lead 2-1.
And I think because a ball broke earlier, they have to get all 4 players to agree to the new ball. And so I do not think they actually brought in a new ball here. I interrupted you, Rob. You were making a point.
Just that they're up 2-1, and they by a small margin deserve to be up 2-1. And I think if there's a fifth game, they'll probably find their way through it. But I also think Yvonne and Jamie don't want any part of the fifth game.
Yeah, they're going to really want to put this game, this match away.
The fifth game in this situation would be dangerous.
There's a lot of extra time being taken here. Not sure what it's all about.
Well, partly warm up a new ball if indeed that's what they have to do.
I don't think they replaced the ball.
Okay. Yvonne just threw his racket up and got a new one from tossed
All right,
down
we
to
ready
him.
now? Level. Shh, quiet please. Level. Shh. One love.
That was down. I think it was down.
Yep.
Yep. It was a 10. Yep. So. Nice coverage there by Bedell.
For sure.
Had to make a big lunge.
Right on the wall. Good play by Eric. Stout couldn't scrape it.
Yeah.
He's still
Side
playing
out.
well.
1-all.
He was there, but he couldn't scrape it. Another conversation, just 2 points into the game.
They have some strategy going on. Maybe it's an adjustment. That's a great get by Eric.
And a great defensive play on the recovery.
Yvonne
Great shot by
really
Stout.
Pounded it, but it did create an opening.
1-2.
He hasn't today. He has not been going short.
There you go. Oh, wow.
Two front right, Knicks for
3-1, side out.
The way he ended
Side out,
the
3-1.
third game also was right there at that front right Nick.
So an early lead. I think there is a chance that this game could get away from Bedell and Callis if Stout and Badan get an early lead here. It could sort of spiral, but I've been very impressed with the way Eric and Chris have hung in, and I sort of expect them to do so, but they do not want to let Yvonne and Jamie get too far ahead here early. That's a great reverse.
Shot.
So, you know, the problem is that you can have a team that's been playing well, but you can have them start to feel really confident once they get that 2-1. And I think you're seeing, not that Jamie ever looks like, you know, unconfident, but he's starting to look like he's feeling it a little bit here.
He's hit a bunch of winners between the end of last game and the first part of this game. Stout has.
Yep. I mean, how are you not going to feel good after you slam that ball into the absolute?
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Left side, 4-1.
Point of the last game.
Out of court.
Okay, he's been that shot's starting to
5-1.
get to him a little bit. That ball that sort of semi-nicks on the left wall.
Yeah, and that's also a little bit unexpected because Jamie hasn't just absolutely clocked it like that all that often, and he did there. I think Jamie's starting to really feel it here. Nice get.
Got it.
Wow. Wow.
Down.
Oh, what a point. What a point. Too bad.
Ball's down, 6-1.
That's an
Left side switch.
He had that shot wide open too.
That's a costly tin at a time when they absolutely can't afford that.
Yeah. This is what I was talking about. I had a sense that this might spiral out because between one team feeling confident and the other team.
There he goes.
But there we go. He hasn't given up. Watch this.
It's quite a shot.
That's
to
a
hit
great
from that
reverse.
spot.
6-2.
Wow.
At the first time he's tried that from that spot in the court.
The whole match.
Yep, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah.
It certainly came at a time that they needed something like that.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's
Why? This is just a complete miss-hit winner. A complete miss-hit winner.
And he's
He
hit
hit it with
several.
the edge of his racket, and it wound up going straight and wound up being sort of a drop
7-2.
shot. Chris Callis couldn't believe it because he knew he had hit a really good forcing shot there.
He's had a couple of these, Yvonne, this match also.
Oh, no.
And that's a 10.
8-2.
So this is what, this is as well as Chris and Eric have played. You're starting to feel the pressure. You're starting to feel like you need to make something happen. Eric did it with that beautiful reverse corner a second ago, but they're just feeling it. And this is what I was afraid of in terms of spiraling out of control. Because it's clear that Jamie and Yvonne are now feeling super confident. They can taste the place in the finals. That's a great shot by Bedell. You got
Side
Yvonne
out.
moving
3-8.
slightly up. Yvonne thought that Jamie might be back there to cover it.
That's right. That's a rare miscommunication they've had.
Well, you were talking earlier about just how good their defense and positioning usually is. That was a 10, I believe.
3-9.
Yep, it was.
Yeah.
There've been a number of these in this game.
Oh, Rob, I think it may have gotten away from them.
Okay, good call.
Yes, let's.
This whole
3-9.
match, Stout has not misread one ball. There's never been a ball that he's been fooled by the way it's bounced or acted. He's wonderful, and he's the one who plays the least doubles of any of them. Did that hit Eric?
Yeah, it hit him.
Oh,
hit his
boy.
foot.
Oh, they've had some
Side
bad,
out.
They've had some bad
10-3.
luck this game also.
Yeah. Although, I mean, we have to give credit where credit is due. Clearly, Jamie and Yvonne have felt really confident. There's a little misjudgment there.
He just lost the ball on the wall. I don't think he misjudged where it was.
10-4.
But I mean, Jamie and Yvonne have just played this game. They're just feeling it.
Yep,
You can tell they're just feeling it.
Right from the first couple of points where they had a winner right off the bat. Good get there. If he got it, Chris, Yvonne's not certain he got it.
Oh,
Did that.
that's a drop shot into the bottom of the 10. Watch it. It's
Side out.
It's
5-10.
really the very bottom third of the 10.
Yeah, that's right. But it's not going to affect him in terms of the next point.
No. Oh, no. Eric, you didn't want to do that there. That's a 10.
Yep.
Top third of the
5'11".
10, but it's still a 10.
And not a situation where he should have gone short anyway.
No,
in front of
no,
him.
yeah, you're right.
They've made some bad choices too.
Well, but they're sort of understandable, right? Because you start to feel a little bit desperate. Look at that shot. Yeah. Boy. This is Jamie just pounding it back.
12-5.
He's hit a couple of, I mean, this is part of how you can tell he's feeling it, because he's not normally someone who's just blasting it around. He hits a couple of blast winners in this game.
And I think he had Eric looking for something like down the middle.
Yeah. I mean, he's feeling it.
13-5.
I don't know what to say other than he's feeling it.
They're playing beautifully right now.
Yeah.
And they're, I think they think they're home free at this point.
Well, I hate to say, but I think I agree with them. I think we are seeing who our finalist team is going to be.
Another great nick for Yvonne.
Good game for these guys.
It's not just Jamie. Yvonne's hit some great shots.
14-5, match ball.
I gave Yvonne player of the game last game.
He is.
This game, though, has been Jamie's game.
Yeah.
This game has been Jamie's game.
And Jamie hit the most important swing of this match, which was that reverse corner, that serve return.
Serve return, yeah. It wasn't a reverse corner. It was a slam into the neck. That's a nice shot. Woo! Decisive.
14-6. Let.
All right. Well, let's see. We've got 9 match
14-6.
Yep. Making them earn it, I'll say that.
As they should.
Stroke. Good call, good call.
Side out.
Well, they fought off
7-14.
2 now. Still a big mountain to climb, but.
Yes, let.
Oh, good play.
Well, I think this is a
8-14.
classic case where you can actually see that Jamie and Yvonne took their foot off the gas a little bit here. And at the same token, Chris and Eric came up well, but there it is. It's all over. We have our number 1 seeds and our number 2 seeds have made it to the finals. This is the number 2 seeds, Jamie Stout and Yvonne Badan, taking out the number 3 seeds, Eric Bedell and Chris Callis. Very good match. Look how good humored Eric Bedell is out there. He should enjoy it. He played very, very well. And actually, nobody played badly in this match.
Oh, that's absolutely right. In fact, nobody didn't play really, really well.
Yeah, they all played well.
Right.
And
we're not going to have the two winning teams players from last year against each other in this year's final, though.
No, that's true. So Chris Callis was one of the defending champion pairs, and he's now out. But we do have Zach Alexander, who won it with him last year. He's in the finals, number 1 seeds. And really, we have the number 1 versus the number 2 seeds,
Yep.
and maybe that's the really exciting thing
Right.
for tomorrow's match.
And we do have the 2 teams who played the best of anybody in this tournament in the final.
That's right. They've consistently been. Well, let me say this. I think that Zach Alexander, and Scott Arnold, they took their time getting into this tournament.
Okay.
But once they got into it, they really got into it. And they got into it in the last 2 games of their quarterfinal match, in all 3 games today in their semifinal, and they look really good right now. And, at one point I wasn't thinking they were maybe even going to make it to the finals, and I don't know. I might slightly favor them. I'm not sure. I have to think about that. It'll be a good final.
There were 2 really big points today. One of them was the no-let at 14-0 in the first game of the first semifinal.
Yep.
And the second one was the shot that Stout hit at 14-13 in the third game to go up 2-1.
Yeah. And that return of serve really, really made a difference.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what are you expecting in tomorrow? An early prediction, Rob?
I think it's going to be a great match. I think Scott Arnold is a very, very imposing player. I want to think about it a little bit, but I almost never see him lose a match. I mean, he's just literally a tower of strength there at the right wall.
So that is a tentative semi-prediction from Rob Dinnerman that maybe the number 1 seeds are gonna last through. But whatever the case, I think you and I both agree it has the potential to be a great final.
Yeah, and Stout and Badan have played 1 event 2 years ago, 1 event last year, 1 event this year. They haven't lost yet.
They've never lost.
So
that's a pretty good record.
It's usually, the teams that play together and get used to each other, but these guys they coordinate better as a team than any team in the tournament.
Yeah.
They position themselves in a way that makes them defensively harder to beat than any team.
Yeah.
Putting aside the fact they're great retrievers,
yeah.
They really read off each other incredibly well.
Yeah. It should be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. This is semi-final night has gone incredibly well. We're very excited to have the number 1 versus the number 2 seeds. That final will be tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and right here at the Heights Casino, or right here wherever you're watching. We know there are quite a few who have been watching from all over the world, and we really appreciate that. I am here. I'm Will Carlin, and I'm going to say for Rob Dinnerman, we're going to sign off for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, for the number 1 versus the number 2 seeds here at the 2020 David C. Johnson Memorial Squash Doubles Tournament. Good night, everybody.